My feelings deep inside, them with my pride. I'm trying desperately, baby, just want me home. Show me the way to surrender my heart. Girl, I'm so low. Learning to love yourself. Faith at 555. We are learning to love ourselves. I hope that you are learning to love yourselves. Join me today for your dose of faith. Have faith that you can do it. Have faith in yourself. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So join me. I'm waiting on you to join me. Join me, and as you join, share with someone else. Do me a favor. If you haven't already liked me, like me. I love you. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Today is Thursday, and today is the 10th. Exactly 5:55 on the 10th. This is the number symbolic of divine order. 10. We're getting ourselves in order. So I welcome you. Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. This is your home for faith. I hope that you will live here. That we will live, cohabitate for the rest of our days until we meet God on the World Wide Web. Circling, standing on, living, and breathing faith, faith, faith. Thank you for joining Dr. V. I love the fact that you are here. Monica Hines, Virginia. Gussie Marshall, Miami, welcome home. Chanel, Atlanta, welcome home, sweetie. Prophet Renee Laird, Panama City, welcome home to faith. Monica Hines, Virginia, of course, welcome home to faith. Whitney Goodman, Panama City, welcome home to faith. Callaway Carroll, you're always home, my spiritual kid. Coach D.B. Powell, welcome home. You're always missed. This is your home for faith, your home for the prophetic, your home for keeping you in the know, keeping you whole, spirit, soul, and body. This is the place where you are healed, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Imani, Panama City, welcome home, sweetie. And kiss the two little phantoms for me. I love those. Those are my spiritual grandsons. Thank you for sharing them, Coach D. Hi, Joy, my Joy, Jennison. What a pleasure, what an honor. Welcome home to Faith at 555 from Gainesville, Compassionate Outreach, that youth pastor. My Joy. Dorothy McMullen Quincy, welcome home. Pastor Dennis, Texas, welcome home to Faith at 555. Teaching us, learning to love ourselves. That's our topic today. Learning to love yourself. The subtopic is compassion, the key to self-love. Compassion is the key to self-love. I know you like that topic, Joy, since you are the youth pastor at Compassionate Outreach. They're in Gainesville under the auspices of none other than Pastor Margaret Dennison, my friend that I absolutely love, my friend for life. We're dealing with compassion today as our subtopic. The main topic, learning to love yourself, and we've been on that since last week. I gave you 3 prongs. First prong on last week was curiosity. The second prong on yesterday, and I'll let you march it or count it down for me. Second prong on yesterday was attention. Paying attention to yourself. A part of learning to love yourself is paying attention. Today, the third prong is compassion. Compassion, the key to self-love. It is important to love yourself in order to love other individuals. And fear can hinder you from giving love and receiving love. And we hovered over that this week. So I want you to talk back to me in the chat. I love the social interaction. It's wonderful that we can interact on this Facebook page, on YouTube, if you're watching it that way, or Instagram. I love the interaction that we can meet here and interact. And let's talk about self-love.
in the month of February, when the world is celebrating Valentine's Day, flowers everywhere, chocolate, candy, restaurants are booked up, women buying all kinds of lingerie, men buying all kinds of lingerie for women. But we have to learn how to love ourselves, discovering ourselves and loving ourselves so that we can give and receive love, whether it is filial, friendship love, brotherly love like Philadelphia, or whether it is agape, which God's love, unconditional. We don't have to perform. We don't have to do anything. God so loved that he sent Jesus. We didn't do anything to deserve it. We didn't even acknowledge him. Or it's eros love that you're looking for. Either way, you have to first start by loving yourself. So we're working on that this week. Give me some feedback. Put something in the chat if you've been helped this week, blessed this week, PowerPoints, things that really spoke to you, that your aha moment, as Oprah called it, that woke you up, that made you realize, hey, wait a minute, I don't love myself. And I thought I loved myself, but this action proved to me that I don't love myself. Or maybe you woke up and realized that your fear of rejection has hindered you from being loved by people that actually loved you, but your fear of rejection kept you from asking for what you needed. So don't forget to share, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to tag some other people. Have them to join us so that they can put value on themselves and learn to love themselves. I hope you enjoyed the Sisterly Love post that I put up on yesterday. My sisters, to remind many of you, you may not have biological sisters that you love and they love you back, and that is just the best kind of love. But you may have spiritual sisters that are closer to you than your biological sisters. Take time tonight and celebrate them and call them and shoot them a text or send them an emoji and remind them how much you love them and how much you appreciate them loving you, because we need all types of love so that we are whole spiritually, physically, and emotionally. The purpose of this nonprofit, Healing the Whole Person. Daily Dose of Faith is sponsored by the nonprofit, Healing the Whole Person. All of your tax-deductible donations is because I incorporated in 1999. It's Healing the Whole Person. And my mission, a part of my mission, my way of accomplishing that is through seminars, through workshops, through conferences, through books, writing books, and empowering people. So all of my books are filled with healing spiritually, healing physically, healing emotionally, whether through prophetic, through prayer, through science, through what physicians have said, therapists, counselors, from information from the Bible. All of that is aimed at helping you to be made whole, spirit, soul, and body. So every day that I'm live, it's about the mission. I'm on a mission to make sure that you are whole, healthy, spiritually, healthy physically, healthy emotionally, so you don't have any cancerous emotions. And a part of not having cancerous emotions is talking about it. One of the days this week, I shared private moments. I shared hurts and devastations that could hinder me from giving and receiving love. And I shared it for the reason that it would not be cancerous. It would not remain on the inside of me and eventually turn to stage 4 and take my life as it did with my biological mother, or with my aunt who had breast cancer, my biological mother who had ovarian cancer. I learned from looking at their emotional history to make sure that I was healthy and whole emotionally. And I hope that you're learning from the episodes of my life that I'm sharing with you, so that you will do the same thing. Live a long time and be in good health, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, that you can experience life and that more abundantly. Pastor Dennis, Texas, glad to have you. Dorothy McMullen, Quincy, always glad to have you. Cheryl, Panama City, that's my mentee, my kid, spiritual kid. I thank God for you, my DD. I appreciate you, the engrafted in child member that's traveling the globe with us. Apto, that prophet from Ebro, thank you for joining us. I'm giving you just one more minute to tag some other people, invite them to join us, because there are many individuals that think they love themselves and they're yet to find out that they don't love themselves. So they have to be taught. You're never too old to learn, to be taught. I had to go to Quincy yesterday to handle some business concerning our land, our property. I own 15 acres in Havana, Florida, 14 acres. And my sister's siblings and I still own land there. And going to the office, one of the tax office, or I forget the proper name for it. I went to the courthouse on one office, and then I had to go to another tax office. And as I was talking to the young man behind the desk, close to retiree about a plaque with showing my property lines and everything, and showing who lived in front, who lived behind, what the plots surrounding my land, who they belonged to, and whether they had access roads. He looked at the computer and he said to me, I don't know, I can't find it. He called someone else in the back and he said, I don't know. And I said to him, I appreciate people telling me what they don't know. And finally, I said, can you ask someone else? He went and asked another lady. She walked right up to the computer and hit a button and said, do this, printed out the plaque for me. And he said, I'm so sorry. I didn't know, but I've learned. And I said to him, we're never too old to learn, and proceeded to talk about the episode the week before, learning to love ourselves. And a part of learning to love ourselves is to bless ourselves, as he talked about the lakefront property that he bought, that he's going to retire in a year, so that he wakes up on his porch and look at the lake, watch the sunrise and the sunset. He can go fishing. That is what he's doing to love himself. What are you doing to love yourself? Natalie Daytona, thank you for joining us. Hola, Aura, Panama City, thank you for joining us. Of course, Apostles Anthony and Claudia Hunt, Rochester, it is always a pleasure. That is my spiritual son and daughter there, and I thank God for them. So we are ready to go. Let's get into the topic today. I've given you enough time. Don't forget, keep sharing. Apostle Darlene from Crestview, thank you, sweetie, for joining. It is always a pleasure. Our topic today, put it in the chat and comment. Talk to me. This is Thursday. Talk to me. As I talk to you, talk to me. If it resonates or chimes in your spirit, or it rings a bell within you, or you can identify to it, give me a comment. Let me know that you are with me. Learning to love yourselves. Subtopic, compassion, the key to self-love. Compassion, compassion, compassion. Compassion may be the magic key to self-love. Compassion may be the magic key to self-love. The empathy we feel when we look at ourselves with compassion, love allows us to recognize our imperfections. The empathy that we feel allows us to recognize our imperfections and accept our human desires, impulses, and especially our limited reserves. I'm headed somewhere with this. Stay with me. When we are accepting our imperfections, not expecting yourself to be perfect. We're all flawed individuals. No one's perfect but God. That perfectionism can drive you over the edge. I have a tendency to be a perfectionist. I have a daughter that has a tendency to be a perfectionist. Anybody else on here? You have a tendency to be driven to be perfect, only to disappoint yourself. When is the last time you showed yourself some compassion? I messed up. I made a mistake. I'm a human being. I forgive me and let it go. It's amazing how we'll be compassionate toward other individuals, but will not show ourselves any compassion. We beat ourselves up and feel guilt-ridden, and then start eating our feelings, overeating, or eating the wrong things because we have not shown ourselves compassion. So compassion. What about compassion? We can stop making irrational demands on ourselves in order to believe we are lovable. Has anybody made unrational or irrational demands on yourself, in order to believe that you are lovable? You put demands on yourself to believe that you're lovable. if I do this, this, and this, and if I cook this, and if I take them here, and if I drive here. So you're so burnt out that you can't handle what you need to handle for yourself, because you feel you need to do all of this so that you will be lovable, so that people will love you. What is it that you've done that was out of your spectrum of knowledge, that overwhelmed you financially, that you didn't have the health for, you because you just wanted to be lovable? Seeking to be good enough to be worthy of love only invites you to climb onto the treadmill of perfectionism. Put this in the chat. Seeking to be good enough. Anybody ever felt like they seeking to be good enough? Have you ever had a moment, regardless of what you've done? I've had that moment that I had to say to a couple of people, regardless of what I do, it's not good enough. I should have stopped a long time ago, because my best is never going to be good enough for you. You have to face the fact, for some people, your best will never be good enough. And stop beating up yourself and give yourself the compassion that you deserve. Seeking to be good enough to be worthy of love only invites you to climb onto the treadmill of perfection. Will you put that in the chat for me? Seeking to be good enough to be worthy of love only invites you to climb onto the treadmill of perfectionism. Perfectionism. That all by itself will drive you mad. The perfectionist. That's a teaching that I did on last year, if you want to go back and pull it. The dangers of being a perfectionist. So countless things. I want to read a few comments as I go, and then go back to reading the article as well. Natalie said, I forgive myself for not showing myself compassion. Good job, Natalie. I sabotaged loving relationships, afraid of abandonment. Absolutely. That hopefully you will go back if you didn't watch that episode about when fear hinders love. Fear hinders love. I dealt with that entire episode. Fear will hinder love. You can sabotage yourself because out of fear of being abandoned, you accept things you shouldn't accept, or you don't ask for what you need. And I won't impugn your integrity by going over that teaching again, but go back and look at that episode. Natalie, thank you for your comments. Ethel says, seeking to be good enough will only invite you to climb on the treadmill of perfection. Thank you. Countless innovative psychologists, this is what psychologists have proven. Countless innovative psychologists have shown us that perfect does not exist in the human experience. Put that in the chat. Perfect does not exist in the human experiences. Perfect does not exist in the human experiences. So stop beating yourself up trying to make yourself perfect. And because it's not perfect, you refuse to step out by faith and try. And psychologists have already proven this. So believe it. For example, Roy Bethamessier, in conducting his famous chocolate chip experiments, and I'll spell that last name, Roy, Baumeister, in case someone wants to look that up later. In conducting his famous chocolate chip cookie experiments, demonstrated that willpower uses our emotional energy. He showed that self-control is not infinite, and we become depleted after exhausting extended self-discipline. Another example, and he said, in another example, in various separate studies, in their various studies, examined the physical health costs of emotional pain. Emotional pain, the physical health costs. Emotional pain, you pay the price in your health because of the emotional pain that's not dealt with. And I shared that about my mother's story, that I felt that because of the emotional pain that she kept inside, it turned cancerous. And eventually she lost her life lost her fight to cancer in her early 40s, died because of cancer, the attack against her female organs, because she'd been hurt emotionally as a female. So the investment, now here is the scientific proof, what the physical health costs of emotional pain and negative communication. Examine the physical, please put this in the chat, examine the physical health costs of emotional pain. Examine the physical health costs of emotional pain. Are you following me? And negative communication. The physical health costs of emotional pain and negative communication in close relationships. In doing so, these researchers and others have documented our immune system that has wisdom beyond the illusion of physical invulnerability. As the French say, the perfect is the enemy of good. Perfection just does not exist, and the belief that it can be obtained will result in failure. Acts of kindness are ways of demonstrating. So what you have endured emotionally and failed to talk about or failed to deal with will turn cancerous. For the sake of length of days and long life and good health, communicate the pain that you feel emotionally, because that is what you're doing to love yourself. Living a long time. I shared with my OBGYN, and as well as when I went to get a mammogram, and I was sharing with the radiologist who was doing a biopsy a few years ago on my left breast. And she said to me, I want to make sure it's not cancer. And I said, no, I will not. Even my aunt died of breast cancer. I will not have cancer in my breast. And she said, why would you say that? I said, 20 or more years ago, well, probably 40, I met this pastor's wife, and I remember her name to this day, Myra Rayleigh. And she took me to lunch. Her and her husband took my husband and I to lunch. And she said to me, let me give you some advice. As a pastor's wife, there were members that did a lot of things to me that I never voiced to them that hurt me, that devastated me. I shared it with my husband, but I didn't share it with the parishioner, the member that did it to me. She said, when I was at my oncologist's office and prior to them taking, and she had lost her breast, she said, prior to them giving me a radical mastectomy, the doctor said to me, what you should have done that ate away at your breast, which is your female part of you, you should have approached and confronted that person. So she said to me, save your breasts. And from that day to this day, I immediately, if someone says something venomous to harm me, I immediately respond to how it affected me so that it doesn't go inside of me and eat away at the nurturing part of me. The breast represents the nurturing part of you that mothers normally breastfeed. It represents the nurturing part of you, the nurturer, and nurturing them. And I'll always say to them, I'm saving my breasts. I will not lose my breasts because I refuse to tell you while I'm nurturing you what you said to harm me, to damage me. So I want you to take that same thing that she shared with me and use it, put it in your arsenal. If you won't speak up for anything other reason than saving your breasts, preventing you from having breast cancer, preventing cancerous emotions that will cause you to lose your breasts, preventing cancerous emotions that will eat away at your female organs. And as a result of it, you'll end up with ovarian cancer, various cancers that women, because they ate their feelings. Are you still with me? Examine the physical costs of emotional pain and negative communication. Examine the physical cost. Examine the physical cost. Hi, Philip, New York. Thank you for joining me. Perfect. Examine. And men can have breast cancer as well. Now they've done a lot of surgeries on men. So you need to, instead of internalizing the emotional pain, communicate with the person that caused the pain. Myra Regularly, that pastor, blessed me, though she passed many years after that. But it blessed me because she said what she failed to do cost her breasts. And I refuse to lose any part of me because I failed to communicate the emotional pain. I hope that you'll take the same vow, that you will not lose any vital part of you to cancer because you fail to communicate the emotional pain that was caused by that person that you love, whether it's your child, your niece, your nephew, your godchild, your grandchild, your siblings, or your spouse. Communicate. Your boyfriend, your fiance, communicate for the sake of your health. Remember, we're three-part beings. Acts of kindness are ways to demonstrate and build self-love. Put this in the chat. Acts of kindness are ways to demonstrate and build self-love. How is that possible? Acts of kindness are ways to demonstrate and build self-love. When you say acts of kindness, I think often of myself, acts of kindness are so gratifying. It makes me feel loved. And I have to have my children sometimes to remind me, this person didn't say thank you, because I love doing random acts of kindness. I ran into a young man in the store on yesterday, and Walmart never is known for good customer service. But I was running in there real quick to get some pasta for my salmon, and I needed help. And there was a young man. I said, could you tell me where the pastor is? I walked up and down these aisles several times. He said, it's hard to find, ma'am. He started to describe it and said, I'll just walk you to it. When he walked me there, I said, please give me your name so that I can stop by the desk and tell them, normally you don't have good customer service, but this young man has good customer service. I looked in my wallet for cash, but I just had my little tiny pouch with me and one credit card. I said, I don't have any cash to tip you, but I'm going to look for you the next time I'm in here because I want to reward good service. That's a random act of kindness that bless me. That's good self-care. Acts of kindness are ways to demonstrate and build self-love. It built self-love in me. I love myself enough that I appreciate someone that will go beyond the call of duty. They don't have to. They don't normally do that to help you. Self-love. Another young lady, something so simple. I had a hard time getting the carts apart. Going in the store to pick up something else, another grocery store, and trying to get the cart apart. And I was wrestling and trying not to break my nail. And she walked up and took it apart and said, which one would you like? And immediately I thought, God, if she walks around the store again and she's headed to the checkout when I'm headed to the checkout, I'm going to pay for her grocery, whatever she buys. I was going to put it on my cart. Self-love. I couldn't find her when it was time to check out, but I love doing things like that. See the self-love in it? I love doing things like that. I love random acts of kindness. I love blessing people, unexpected blessings. In the dollar store, I was behind a young lady and chatting, and when she went up ahead of me and put her things on the counter, I said to the cashier, put hers on my check as well. She said, ma'am, are you sure? I said, I'm certain. I love random. So those kind of things, random acts of kindness. Acts of kindness are ways to demonstrate and build self-love. So if you want to build self-love, acts of kindness are ways of demonstrating and building self-love. You may say, how is that self-love? It blessed me because it makes me feel so happy to give, to empower, to help other individuals. When you realize how blessed you are. I was coming through the airport, Devin and I, from Martha's Vineyard, I don't know how many years ago now. And there was a lady traveling by wheelchair. She said her sister lived on Martha's Vineyard, a black lady, older black lady on Martha's Vineyard. She said she goes there once a year. And she was flying, and whoever they had pushing the wheelchair just left her. And I observed her over there, and it seemed like her hands were shaking. So I went over to her. I said, are you okay? She said, the person that was supposed to push me to my next gate just told me they'll be back, never came back, and they just left me. And I said, I'll push you. She said, would you? I said, sure. I pushed her to her next gate, pushed her onto the train, and she started shaking again. I reached over and put my hand on her hand and said, don't worry about it. I'm going to be your age one day. I would want someone to help me. I don't mind helping you at all. It gives me great pleasure to be able to help you. And I'm going to find a supervisor and report it to the airline. She was on American Airlines. I said, I'm going to report it, that they abandoned you. They're not supposed to do that. I didn't know that there was a supervisor that was off duty sitting right next to us. Overheard the conversation, and she said, I'm a supervisor off duty. I'm going to get off this train with you and walk with you and this lady and stay right here. And I said, I'll stay with you until your daughter comes. Her daughter was supposed to meet her at baggage claim. That supervisor said, I'll find out who it is. I'll write them up. That was a random act of kindness that made me happy, being kind to someone else. You'll be surprised how happy it can make you, the joy that it can bring, and how that's a part of building self-love and self-care. Acts of kindness are ways to demonstrate and build self-love through gentle thoughts, respectful habits, and behaviors. We both show love to ourselves and are forced to acknowledge its consequences. Diligently delight and self-respect documents that loving is a worthwhile activity. Loving behavior, respectful habits, acknowledges its consequences. Respectful habits, respecting yourself. I respect myself too much to do certain things. I respect myself too much to behave in certain ways because everyone else is behaving that way. A matter of respect, respecting yourself enough that out of respect for myself, I cannot see myself saying this or doing this or acting this way. Self-love. So that is what I'm going to end with today. Tomorrow we'll start with curiosity, but I won't end this episode. I've covered all three: curiosity, attention, compassion, and kindness. Practice as a way of honoring ourselves. Put this in the chat: curiosity, attention, compassion, and kindness. Practice as ways of honoring ourselves. Practice those as ways of honoring ourselves. This allows us to develop a loving relationship with ourselves. One more time, and I need to see it in the chat. Curiosity, attention, first prong. Second prong, attention. Third prong, compassion. Fourth prong, kindness. As we practice these are ways of honoring ourselves. Those random acts of kindness, that's how we honor ourselves, and allows us to develop a loving relationship with ourselves. Develop a loving relationship with yourself. Are you with me? Anybody there? Let me see it in the chat. Your response. So it's loving relationships with yourself. Look for the love that you have not received and you poured into other individuals, but you have not gotten it back. And you so deserve to be loved. So I am praying for you, Ethel, because there have been many individuals that you've invested in, that you've shown love, and they did not reciprocate. In fact, they gave you hurt. They hurt you where you loved them. Thank you, Monica Hines. Curiosity, attention, compassion, and kindness. Practicing these things will help us develop self-love. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. So be kind enough to yourself to bless yourself with what you willingly bless other people with. Bless yourself with that. Say happy birthday to you. Say happy Valentine's to yourself. Think about Valentine's and what are you going to give yourself for Valentine's? What do you plan to give you? Why am I saying what you plan to give you? Because we're dealing with self-love. What do you love? What do you love yourself enough to buy for you? Do you love yourself enough to buy yourself a Rolls Royce? Love yourself enough to buy yourself an airline ticket, a trip? Love you. Because if you don't love yourself enough to spend it on you, how can you expect someone else to love you more than you love yourself? Do I need to say that again? What do you expect someone else to buy you for Valentine's Day? Would you spend that on yourself? Then do it. What you want someone else to do for you, or what you're willing to do for someone else, do it for yourself. Buy yourself a piece of jewelry. Buy yourself a heart necklace. Buy yourself something that makes you feel loved and appreciated. Be your Valentine. then you really have set yourself up for someone else to value you, because you've set the bar high. They will look and say, if she will spend this amount of money on herself, or he will spend this amount of money on himself, then I can't do less, because they expect this and more. I need to outdo what they're doing for themselves. I need to bring it to the table. I have to come with my A game. I can't do less for them than they can do for themselves, because why would they need me? Hello, Lisa Steele. Love you, love you, love you. Be kind to yourself. When is the last time you did something great for yourself? When is the last time you did something for you that you've done for someone else, but no one else has ever done it for you? When is the last time you have done that? Love yourself. When is the last time you treated you to a lobster dinner, surf and turf? When is the last time you bought yourself a trip and stayed in a 5-star hotel? Have you stayed in the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons? Decide that this Valentine's Day, I'm taking myself to the Four Seasons. I'm taking myself to the Ritz-Carlton. That may not be your thing in the midst of a pandemic, but find out what's safe. Find out what will celebrate you. Look at what you pining over, wondering, wanting someone else to purchase for you, and make that purchase. And then they'll have to supersede the value that you put on yourself. Value you. I speak healing to the heartbreak that Philip has gone through now, in the name of Jesus. Lord, where the heart has scabbed over, I see a sore that has scabbed over, where a person has been cut, wounded, and it's scabbed over, but it's not healed from the inside out. I'm seeing the vision of this, and the Lord downloading the knowledge of what the doctor said to me in my teens when I shot myself in the leg, that you have. He kept pulling the scab off and using a Q-tip swab to clean out the infection, the pus. He said, you need to heal from the inside out. We speak healing to heartbreak. Philip Johnson, we speak healing to heartbreak. Let him heal from the inside out. And those things that he was not willing to communicate, the pain and the hurt and the devastation that it caused him. I thank you for that epiphany today, that revelatory information, that he'll sit down and pour out his heart to the person that broke his heart and convey the pain, so that his heart will not cause him to have physical health issues as a result of the heartbreak. I thank you for the word of knowledge. I thank you for the word of wisdom. I thank you for the discerning of spirits that you revealed in giving that word to Philip Johnson now, in the name of Jesus. Lord, I thank you for the highway that's been paved in front of Lisa Steele. I see a highway being paved. And as I see this highway being paved, it looks like men have worked on the road, but it's a highway that was paved in the wilderness. And I hear the portion of this song, which is prophetic for you, Lisa Steele. He's making a road in your wilderness. He's making a road in your wilderness. Be of good courage, God's on your side. Be of good courage, God's on your side. God is on your side, Lisa Steele. Be of good courage as you're riding through this grief and doing the grief work. God's on your side. He's making a road in the wilderness that you have been in, what appears to be for a long season. God is building a road, and the road is an indication that you were struggling to move along, but now because of the road, you can move at a faster pace. Gainful employment that will compensate you for all the years and monies that you invested in your education. I see that, I decree that and declare that in Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Join me tomorrow for Prophetic Friday as I prophesy and flow in the gifts and complete this week of faith at 5:55, giving you your dose of faith. Believe that God is with you because he is. Believe that God still speaks because he does. And believe that God wants you to have the love that he intended for you to have. The love that you so deserve. work on that self-love. I'll see you tomorrow at 5:55. And for those individuals that I mentor, join me in 5 minutes for that group mentoring experience. The link is the same. Dee Dee always put the link in there. Use the same link that you used before so that we can talk about whatever you'd like to talk about and give me an opportunity to flow in the gifts and prophesy to you if I haven't prophesied to you. From prophecy to discerning of spirits, using my gifts, and give you an opportunity to ask questions that you might have or talk about their concerns that you may have. It's this Zooming with Dr. V, this private mentoring moment. If you are a mentee, please join me. Link into that Zoom in 5 minutes. I'll see you there. Bye.